Hey everybody, it's the Van Show, and I'm talking to my friend Cathy Camper. Say hi, Cathy.
Hey, good to be here.
It's great to have you here. We're really excited. Now, Cathy, we want to know a little bit about you. So tell us first, where are you from?
I'm from Portland, Oregon.
And do you love Portland, Oregon?
I do. It's very rainy, but that means you can get a lot of work done.
You're an author, is that correct?
That's true.
Have you always been an author?
I think so. I remember the first time I learned to write something in first grade, and I thought, wow, you could do a lot of this.
Because you enjoyed it at a young age?
Yeah.
Did you have anybody that encouraged you when you were young to write?
Yeah, my dad was a writer, and he used to write short feature articles and letters to the editor. So I would see how he would get a response from people he worked with and people in the neighborhood, and people would write back in the newspaper. So it showed me the power of writing.
Wow. So if you don't mind, can you tell us about the first time that you got that kind of response for something that you wrote?
I think it would be in high school. I won a contest for writing a poem, and I got to go for a week writer's workshop in another city for free. It was at a college, so that was pretty amazing. And my poem was published in an adult magazine, and I was like, I really like this. This is cool.
That's super. And so that encouraged you to keep going, huh?
Yeah. And I mean, as a kid, my teacher had told me about this contest, so that's how I knew to enter it, and it was really fun.
All right, and let's fast forward to somewhat more recently. You started writing a book series with a friend, is that right?
Yeah, I wrote the Lowriders in Space books, and I do the writing, and my friend Raul does the art. And as I said, I live in Portland, but he lives in Boston, so we have to do it long distance.
You couldn't be farther apart.
Yeah.
So what's it like to collaborate with somebody else on your art?
Well, I think on the plus side, you get two imaginations, two brains working on it, but you have to know how to cooperate. And, that means you don't always get your way. So, if you really like to have your way, then you need to do it all yourself. But I think the strength of working with somebody else is you get two creative visions together.
Wow.
And then also you have an editor and an art director that are telling you what they want. So it's not just what you want. So you have a lot of people working together to make the project come out good.
Wow, so there's more than just you and Raul's fingers in the mix.
Right. And, sometimes they'll cut out whole pages of your story. So then you have to figure out, how do we jump from this page to this page, because the 5 that you wrote in between are now gone. So then you have to rewrite the whole thing to make it make sense. So
that's got to be a little frustrating sometimes, huh?
Yeah. But sometimes it makes it better. It can be things that you don't see that other people do.
Yeah, I noticed that sometimes when I have to rewrite something and I'm like, oh, this was perfect as it was, but I have to rewrite it, I always end up writing something better anyway.
Yeah, and I think for kids, it's the same thing as having your teacher make marks on your paper and tell you how to do it better. And you feel annoyed, but then like a month later you read it and you go, it really is kind of better.
As much as I hate to say it, my teacher was right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, Cathy, can you tell us a little bit about the story in Lowriders in Space?
Well, Lowriders in Space is about 3 characters: Alirio Malaria, who's a mosquito and paints with his beak, and Lupe Impala, who is an impala, and she's a mechanic, and Flapjack Octopus, who can buff cars and wash them, and they all want a lowrider and a garage of their own. So in the first book, that's what they're trying to do. And in the second book, they get the car and they go on a road trip, and their cat goes missing, so they have to go down into the underworld, and they meet the Aztec god of the dead and La Llorona, Chupacabra, lots of monsters.
Cool.
So that's kind of over-the-top adventure. So the new book is called Blast from the Past, and it's about the characters when they were little kids. And it talks about how they all met, and there's some bullies in the book called La Matamascas, which means the fly swatters. And that's because they pick on people with their fly swatters. They hit people with their fly swatters.
Oh, so, the mosquito better watch out.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought it was really fun to do because I'm describing how they all met, and also it's always fun to see your characters as little kids. You know, how would they look? And you get to meet their families and, you know, how they all grew up. Also wrote all 3 books so you can read them in any order, because I hate those books that are series and you get to number 7 and you're like, what? I got to go back and read 7 books before I can read this one? So even though, of course, you write them in an order, you could jump into any of the 3 books and read them and then go back and read the others. So
That's awesome.
It's not a sequential thing like that.
So you incorporate some Spanish words into these books, is that right?
Yeah, we do that, and because kids don't always know Spanish, we always translate it right on the page, so you can look right below and it tells you what it is. And then I like to put a glossary in the back, but in the glossary I also translate things like words about cars or words about science, because I love science, so I always sneak in some science stuff. But that way kids can, you know, look up something if they're confused about it.
Now, Cathy, was there a reason why you wanted to include some Spanish in these books?
Yeah, I wanted, I work as a librarian, and I was frustrated that I didn't see more books that met the kids that I was serving as a librarian, and a lot of them speak Spanish. So, you know, it was important to incorporate it just as part of the story. And Raul grew up in Texas, so he is drawing the book and setting it in Texas, so it's part of the setting too.
Yeah. And so I'm going to start you off.
Okay.
We've got 1 minute to tell this story. It was a dark and stormy night.
Suddenly, a light bulb came on.
And then it blew up.
What was it? Said the ant.
It was the prophecy, said the other ant.
The first ant said, that means an anteater is heading our way.
That's right, said the anteater with a mouthful of
bubble gum.
Run, said ant number 1.
Ant number 2 said, he likes to catch ants in his bubbles.
And then the bubble grew bigger and bigger and bigger until
suddenly the first ant was stuck to it.
No, my friend, said ant number 2. And he grabbed onto his little ant foot and tried to pull.
But then ant 2...
All right, let's finish the story, though. What's the end?
Ant 2 also got stuck.
And then the anteater sucked him in, and they all got eaten. The end.
Yeah, the end.
Awesome. High five.
That was pretty silly.
Great story. All right, now, Cathy, what's the name of your new book?
It's Lowriders in Space, Blast from the Past.
Bye.
Bye.